Welcome back to the playoff edition of The Blame Game. I'm Mark Z, and each week after the LCS, I look at the top comments in the post-game discussion thread and decide if the blame there is justified or not. Semifinals concluded this weekend, and hot damn was it crazy. We had one of the closest series ever in the semifinals, and one of the largest upsets as well. I correctly predicted both as TL edged out CLG and Immortals rolled over TSM. What's that? Literally the opposite of what happened. The best of 5 between CLG and Team Liquid was neck and neck and went to the final game as both teams shined during this crazy series. This unfortunately resulted in an extremely boring post-game discussion thread with most people just jerking it and posting reaction gifs of how amazing of a series it was for Karma. Come on Reddit, the show doesn't run itself. You guys gotta dump on some people for me. In light of any good blame, I guess I'll just have to do it myself. There were clearly some jitters this series as almost every player had a moment that made you scratch your head, but that's expected in a close series such as this. The worst in-game thing I saw though was the shot calling by Team Liquid in Game 5. At 23 minutes into the game, Team Liquid sieges CLG's outer mid turret for over a minute before dropping it. After such a successful siege, Team Liquid decides to just bait Baron for the entire rest of the game. To be fair, if they ever landed a Bard ult on a key target during one of their turn-off of Barons, they probably could have blown the game wide open, but I still think it would have been much easier to just grind CLG down. In a siege situation, you have the range advantage, and the only thing you really need to worry about is the Darshan TP flank, but you have great tools to deal with it. Kate traps and Bard ult will zone any follow-up coming from in front, and you just have to use the Karma shield to speed away from the flanker. Worst case scenario is you just have to back off and reset. They also possess a rotational advantage in Karma speed and Bard portal, so even if they didn't want to set up in front of one turret, they can at least rotate between lanes. Instead, their shot calling becomes extremely linear as they tunnel on baiting Baron, which stalls out the game until CLG is able to outscale them. This still pales in comparison to the complete abomination of a draft in Game 3. First off, the Tristana ban. Now, I'm a fan of letting someone beat you with cheese one game in a best of series, but if they didn't have any other bans, then the Tristana ban makes sense for games 1 and 2 from Team Liquid. Heading into Game 3 though, they need to start reacting to what CLG does. If they leave the Tristana up this game and get punished, then they still have Game 4 to decide what's the biggest threat, as well as being blue side because they can also first pick. As we saw in Game 4, Tristana is a total non-factor. Team Liquid tries to bait them into picking Nidalee again first pick, but CLG doesn't go for it and correctly takes the Echo. They're probably comfortable running Kindred into Nidalee or Elise into Kindred again like last game. From there, Team Liquid panic picks Ryze because they're scared of giving CLG the same solo laners from Game 2. And you can tell that they really don't prioritize it because it's the only time in the playoffs that Team Liquid have played it. It's also clearly trying to be taken away from CLG because it's the only time in the series it was anything but last picked. CLG are prepared for the Ryze pick and have a strong counter prepared in Anivia. Team Liquid's last hope is their bot lane counter pick, which they've been saving for last, but they go with Sivir. It's a fine pick for the comp, but within the context of how these two teams play in the series itself, it's really not going to get them the advantage that they need in this draft. To recap, Team Liquid wasted some bans, gave CLG their priority top laner, ended up in a jungle matchup that went fine for CLG last game, got counter pick mid, and have a bot lane that isn't very high impact. In a series this close, you can't afford to lose a draft this hard. Immortals vs TSM is one of the most insane upsets we've seen, not only because of the difference in their regular seasons, but because it was a 3-0 for TSM. Immortals pulled a lot of blame for their unique champ pools and not playing the meta. In Game 1, Immortals held a huge lead with their unique picks and were poised to win the game before they got sloppy with Baron buff and got outscaled by TSM. In Game 2, I actually liked their draft, minus not banning Nidalee and giving it to Sven, who carried an early game versus C9 last series with it. Game 3 was more the same as their comp was very similar to Game 1, resulting in all 3 games having a carry top, tank jungle, Karma support, and a more utility-based AD carry. Now, I'm a proponent of running the same thing over and over again when you're winning and forcing other people to adapt to you, like Immortals did during the regular season. The key word there is winning, which wasn't happening in this series. Whenever I prep for playoffs, we usually had our standard strongest comp with a couple variations on it, and then things like Juggernaut, Globals, Split Push, different things prepared. We don't know if Immortals has other comps or not, so it's hard to blame them for that, but they definitely deserve blame for beating their head against the wall and not even changing up their bans versus TSM in Game 3. A lot of this blame has been targeted at players, but I think the staff deserves some as well. I'm a huge fan of their approach outside the game, but it's hard to say they had any impact in-game. Immortals was instantly the #1 team in the region in scrims during the preseason, and they've played the same exact way the entire season. It's hard to say there's any growth, and we haven't seen any more in the playoffs, so I'm not sure it's worth holding out for. As an outsider, it's hard to not place a large chunk of the blame on the coaching staff. That's it for this week's episode of The Blame Game. We got finals next weekend in Vegas, which I'm sure we're all excited for. I can't think of a better place to segregate our predominantly underage audience and to remind all of us nerds how socially maladjusted we really are. I'm already so embarrassed that I'm probably not gonna go, so I'll see you guys next time for The Blame Game. Mike Milnow just walking through the shot like he owns this place.